and welcome to the Graduate Research Assistant Training on Research Compliance and Ethics. My name is Donna Eaton, and I'm the Director of Research Compliance and Ethics, and we're located under the Division of Research and Economic Development in the Fort IRC building. Today I hope to equip and engage you in laws that apply to research. It is very important that you understand that even though you know that you have professional standards and that you have ethical standards, that there are also laws that apply to research, and in order for us to have undeniable respect for our research, and in order for us to avoid personal, professional, and legal consequences for ourselves and a university, that we must function and adhere to those laws. So let's get started. Well, research is in the headlines all the time, and immediately when I see certain cases in the headlines, I understand how before it hit the headlines that there was some law or compliance or ethical related guideline associated with why a person went wrong or what helped them get that undeniable respect for what went right about their research. And so we're going to use the headlines as part of our engagement for this presentation. But before we get to the headlines, I'm going to briefly discuss the Office of Research Compliance and Ethics with you. We have 3 full-time staff in our office. We have 2 compliance officers and myself. The first compliance officer is Dr. Tanya Hargett, and she manages 3 committees that review what we call non-human subjects research. Her 3 committees are the Institutional Biosafety Committee, or the IBC, the Institutional Animal Care and Use Committee, or the IACUC, the Radiation Laser Safety Committee, and she is located in Fort IRC building, and you can find her number on the website. I don't like that, so I'm going to start this section over. The Office of Research Compliance and Ethics has 3 full-time staff. We have 2 compliance officers in addition to myself. The first compliance officer, Dr. Tanya Hargett, manages 3 research compliance committees, and they review protocols that involve what we call non-human subjects research. First, she has the Institutional Biosafety Committee, or the IBC, the Institutional Animal Care and Use Committee, or the IACUC, and the Radiation and Laser Safety Committee under her purview. The next compliance officer is Ms. Kathy Collins, and Kathy manages the Institutional Review Board, and the Institutional Review Board is responsible for reviewing research involving human subjects. As director, my responsibilities are export control, financial conflict of interest, responsible conduct in research, and research misconduct. Because of my responsibilities with responsible conduct in research and research misconduct, I function as the Research Integrity Officer for our campus. So let's get started on our headlines and our compliance and ethics. Do you recognize this child and what his benefit was from research? Well, this is Grayson. And Grayson was in a research study that involved implanting a new type of hearing device into the brainstem. He had tried all type of other devices and was unable to hear, and this device was only tested in adults in Europe, and the FDA here decided to allow a clinical trial involving 10 children. The research was conducted at UNC Chapel Hill, and Grayson's hearing his father's voice for the first time made headlines. Do you recognize this woman and how research has impacted her life? Well, we all recognize Angelina Jolie, and Angelina was in the headlines recently because she made a life-changing decision. She decided to have both of her breasts removed, and this is because of a study that involved looking at 2 genes that cause breast and ovarian cancer. and it was found that if you had a family history of a mutation of the BRCA1 gene, which Angelina did, then the likelihood of you developing breast cancer was about 87%. Now, a positive test result only provided information about your risk of developing cancer and not that you would develop cancer 100%. But Angelina, based on this research, decided to remove both of her breasts so that the likelihood of her not developing cancer would be more real to her, and she felt that was key, and she wanted to live the life to raise her children. Well, both of those studies with Grayson and Angelina involved human subjects research. And so we have the Institutional Review Board, which approves research involving human subjects. Primarily, we have social behavior protocols on our campus. We don't usually have research involving devices, but we do have genetic research that takes place on our campus. We typically have surveys and interviews and focus groups and review of medical records, and sometimes the taking of blood specimens. The Institutional Review Board is governed by the Department of Health and Human Services, and whenever you conduct human subjects research, you must have it approved by the Institutional Review Board. Do you recognize what crime these two individuals have in common? Well, let's see. These two individuals sent letters to President Obama, and they laced those letters with ricin, and ricin is considered a select agent, and it is on the select agent list for the Center for Disease Control of the CDC. It's very poisonous. Ricin can cause death in a human being if inhaled even in small doses, and so that's why they sent the letter laced with the ricin powder in an effort to try to kill the president. Ricin is made from the castor oil bean, is not difficult to make, and it's used for bioterrorism. The Institutional Biosafety Committee approves the use of biohazardous material which involves recombinant DNA and infectious biological agents. As a part of the process for approving research, they conduct laboratory inspections and they determine biosafety and risk levels of your research. They work very closely with the Environmental Health and Safety Office, and if you are wanting approval for any type of research that is above Biosafety Level 2, we do have a Biosafety Level 3 lab located in Kannapolis at the North Carolina Research Center. Well, guess what these animal control officers are searching for? A 16-year-old monkey, part of a breeding colony that supplies monkeys for the other research projects at Wake Forest University, had escaped. This hit our local news and headlines because the public had to be warned not to approach the animal, but to call animal welfare officers if they sighted the animal. Well, once the animal had escaped, Wake Forest suffered consequences through the USDA. And so we need to talk about why that occurred.